mismanagement. So you have to build those structures at those levels. So this budget period is also partially going to focus on developing local structures for service delivery, particularly in the area of health and education. Now, the other thing again I need to inform you, contrary to what people have been saying, or contrary to what happens in the past, that they just put this money, we don't pay this money. It is false. We pay these monies. First, every money we spend in government, 75% is provided by the government of Sierra Leone. 15% is provided by partners, and 10% is through borrowing from the commercial banks, the central bank, as it were. Every money we spend is 75%. And I will tell you, in the past, not up to 30% or 40% of public spending was financed from the budget, from the revenue itself. You remember the days of austerity, when ministries didn't even have forced allocations for the rest of the year? In 2016, the figures I have here indicate that in the 9th month of the year, we are supposed to spend 75% of the budget. We should have disbursed 75% of the budget in the 9th month of the year. I'm pleased to report that we have disbursed 73% of the budget in the 9th month of the year. Just 2% short of the target. The figures, the percentage disbursement vary from one ministry to another. So for quarter 4, for those ministries that not much has been spent there, they are going to be given priorities. Some ministries have already chopped all their resources. So if you can just check what was allocated to what you have chopped, you don't need to bother to come again. So check your figures for yourself. Anytime you come to me, I will tell you what was allocated, what you have spent. Some people spend money, they don't even know they have spent the money. You see, because we do not monitor. That brings in the argument of the role of the political leadership in the budget process. The budget committee should be functional. You should know your budget. You cannot be a minister and a permanent secretary tells you, no, this is government business, I'm the vote controller. No, you have a right to know what he's spending on and he's signing on it. You have a right to know. When allocations are made from the Ministry of Finance, you should be in position to know exactly what these allocations are going to be spent on. If you sit down there and spend, then later you not get fair. It cannot be my business. I mean, I had a case like with the ministry that we have just allocated 520 million. And the minister came has got free. Hey, get back to your ministry. Get back there and know what the money was used for. Whether they pay an old contractor, they still have an opportunity to go into debt. So you can have fear from your ministry. So the budget, finally, let me just say, we're going to engage very seriously. I'm available to engage. Whilst we do the public show, we have closed door meetings in my office on various issues. Don't be tied down to the ceilings extremely. If you have good ideas, put them down. If you cannot finance it from the budget, we can approach our partners over time. Don't be extremely tied down to the ceilings, but just make sure they are realistic. The budget is moderate. Sometimes the ideas are good, but the figures you give to those budgets could be terrible. That's the problem. That throws good ideas out of the bag. But if you do real costings, you can really achieve it. Finally, Honorable Vice President, colleague ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I have more opportunity to move on, but let me stop here for now. Thank you.
All right, well, that's now been the Minister of Finance, Jacob Josu Safa, where we give overview and serve the priority areas then, where the government will focus on for the 2020 financial year. And the major among within the minister targets for the job creation on the agricultural sector is then expect say about 30,000 jobs for the available on the labor, but 10,000 jobs, and also according to the minister, then the hope say they will go for strengthening the SMEs them, when at the small and medium enterprise them, for ensure say more job will get for people them. And also the minister been stressed on the need for the ministries, departments, and agencies them be accountable for waiting and waiting then they do with government money, where they go get forgiven in the year 2020. You still get a live update of what they happen at the Miatta Conference Center. Outside the government, they get the formal start of the 2020 financial year budget hearing process. Ministries, departments, and agencies them parastatals them there this morning when sure say they talk what waiting they want to see happen na the ministries then in the year 2020. Continue for listening to Radio Democracy as we continue for going live podcast on waiting they happen here this morning.
And of course to BSL, the deputy governor is keenly listening to me, taking out of my mouth the piece that I'll be saying. But the painful thing is that today, if we have 1 billion loans at Bank of Sierra Leone government resources, they will send 1 billion and 100 loans. They will return those checks and they peg us a fine of 1 million loans. And that is why we are happy very much. I would like to underscore this, that the pressure we have in the Ministry of Finance is to decide. Every day we do prayers in the morning, the minister, the PDFS, and myself, to decide what to send. And we don't have the authority to decide what to send if we don't get that little piece of statement. I have it in my phone, how we ended the day yesterday. And then in the morning, you'll be seeing Ministry of Defense with all the commanders. Then Correctional Center will see, I cannot get to the prison because the prisoners are on strike. And then you will see the free education coming. So that is the struggle we get. But the only good thing about the discipline is that today, if your check is at Bank of Sierra Leone before 12, you receive the payment today. If your check is at Bank of Sierra Leone after 3 p.m., you will get the payment tomorrow. And I believe contractors are happy to do that, and they want us to continue to do. The next thing is for us to understand and to do the trade-off. I am happy when Minister said that the ceiling is an indicative data which can be adjusted downwards and upwards. We received over 200 requests when we did the budget circular call, people requesting for increase. I would like to see that it doesn't make a sense to allocate 10 billion and you end up giving 1 billion. That undermines budget credibility and undermines the government. We don't want to go to Parliament to say our budget is 700 trillion, then we can only deliver on 1 trillion. If your allocation is 1 billion and you are undertaking the project, projectize it and ensure that you do the first thing that are done. Of course, we highlighted the theme of the budget, which he talked about more, look at consolidating the fiscal consolidation for job creation, highlighting the various areas that we intend to do. Many people are happy, particularly the youth minister. I saw him happily clapping that his youth are going to have the jobs. And of course, they should be given the appropriate training for the youth to be done. On this note, I would like, at this point, for all of us to humbly stand up, recognize, and listen to the statement of the Honorable Vice President.
Thank you very much. Kindly sit down, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to stand on existing protocols. Good morning. First of all, let me thank the Minister of Finance for his brilliant presentation, giving some time particularly to exposing, articulating the government economic diversification drive. I am also pleased that you made personal mention of the energy sector, because for far too long, you know, in this country, what we have today is what we call utility energy, meaning that we generate energy to electrify the houses, schools, hospitals, and offices. And when you have a very viable economic diversification drive, where you want to encourage investment in this country, we need to move from utility energy to productive energy. We are on that track. I want to thank you for mentioning that. Let me say that it is a pleasure to be part of this process and have the opportunity to deliver the keynote address for the financial year 2020 budget policy hearings. I want to thank you, Mr. Minister, and thank the Minister and staff of the ministry, as well as the Minister of Economic Development, members of Parliament, for their collaboration and hard work to coordinate this consultative process to prepare the national budget. You know, we have a proverb in Fulani that says, when you have ideas but you don't have resources, your idea risks becoming a story. Because every day you tell people about your ideas but you don't have resources to implement those ideas. So over time they become a story. If you want to build a school, you don't have the resources to build a school. Every day you see somebody, you tell, I wanted to build a school. Last year I wanted to build a school. 10 years ago, I promised to build a school. But when you have resources, they help you realize those ideas into practical projects. So I think, from my modest understanding and appreciation, that the budget hearing process is no doubt the first step to link resources to policy outcomes. The budget policy hearings, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, are very crucial to the budget development process. It is evident that the budget development process has got immense implications on execution and management of the budget. You will agree with me that how we develop the budget also has got implications on how we deliver on our national development plan, particularly as it highlights the available resources at our disposal to provide the goods and services needed by the people of this country. Therefore, the policy hearings are critical to all stakeholders involved in the budget development process in order to arrive at a budget that is credible. These hearings set the stage for the start of the consultative process for developing the financial year 2020 budget. The hearings are also an opportunity for various ministries, departments, and agencies to lay out their policies and budget plans aimed specifically at assisting the executive, that is the government, achieve economic growth and development. I am sure you will agree with me, it didn't come as a surprise to us that the theme for the financial year 2020 budget, like the Minister of Finance said, fiscal consolidation for job creation and human capital development. In that, youth unemployment and low human capital development are a major challenges in Sierra Leone, and our government remains committed to tackle them as they are vital to the development prospects of our country. The National Development Plan prioritizes human capital development and job creation. Therefore, with this 2020 budget, we hope to efficiently allocate resources to fund policies and projects that aim at improving human capital development, while at the same time create jobs for vulnerable groups, especially the youth. Make no mistake, as a government, we are aware and we do know that the prospect for job creation lies in the private sector. But as a government, we thought it wise to lead the pathway so that at the end of the day, we can encourage the needed investment to bolster job creation, particularly both in the private sector and in government. In the quest to achieve economic development, you note countries have pursued varying development paths which have been spurred essentially by pursuing several development strategies. Today, the South Asian and East Asian model countries such as China, Singapore and Japan attribute their economic advancement to the investment they were able to make in human capital development through education and health. Therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the connection between human capital development and improving employment prospects mainly lies on the fact that investment in human capital improves the productivity of the citizens of this country. The World Bank Human Capital Development Index estimates that a child born in Singapore is expected to be 88% productive when that child grows up, because that child enjoyed complete education and health. While a child born in sub-Saharan Africa today is expected to reach to be 40% productive. In Africa, countries such as Rwanda continue to make the case for human capital development in light of the immense contribution these countries, such as Rwanda, have made to its economic development today. You will agree with me, for those of you who have had the opportunity to visit Rwanda, you see today Rwanda is being showcased as one of the shining stars of African countries. And that is essentially because they did the right investment, which is in human capital development. Equally, countries such as Ghana and Nigeria continue to prioritize human capital development as part of their development strategies. In recognition of the benefits of human capital development, donors or development partners are also mobilizing support in assisting African economies to improve on their human capital. The World Bank's Africa Human Capital Development Plan, as well as the African Development Bank's Human Capital Development Strategy, respectively launched in recent years, illustrates the commitment by donors to also support Africa in pursuing development strategies as a means of transforming African economies to enable them address challenges such as youth unemployment. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me, development requires an educated, skilled, and healthy people in order to enable them enter the job market. In Sierra Leone, for instance, during the recent iron ore mining sector boom, some of the jobs that were created then could not be held by Sierra Leoneans due to a lack of a labor force with the requisite skills needed by those companies. As a government, we recognize that there is a need to change this narrative, especially as majority of our youth remain unemployed. This, no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, explains the relevance of this budget hearing process. The 2020 budget is going to showcase the connection we want to make as a government between available resources and the development plan. Our youth must be employed. Our youth must be given the prerequisite skills to take advantage of the industries we seek to establish. Above all, we must change our human capital indicators for the better as we pursue the improved living standards of our people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency the President on a daily basis continue to emphasize this. And I will also reiterate his call here today that the leadership of this country fully support this process, and we will follow the proceedings very closely. I therefore want to take this opportunity to urge all ministries, departments, and agencies to fully cooperate with the Minister of Finance, who stand ready to provide the support required to match your policy and budget plans with the national development objectives. It is important that we take this exercise very seriously. It is equally important that you attend the slated sessions and on time. In addition, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage all MDAs to prepare very well, including with all relevant information required. You see, these hearings provide a potential entry point to outline your programs, showcase their relevance, particularly as it relates to the overall new direction human capital development focus. In particular, the ministries, departments, and agencies that have been identified as the main agents for delivering human capital development outputs. I want to state here that the Minister of Finance just said he is not the popular minister among his peers. But when you control the purse, that is how it goes. I am here today to encourage you to engage in and then begin to use those hearings to build the friendship you need for budget execution. But be rest assured that personally, I intend to monitor these policy hearings very closely, and I've asked the Ministry of Finance to provide me with regular updates on how the proceedings are unfolding. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by thanking the Ministry of Finance for initiating this process and, more importantly, working hard to institutionalize it. You see, I normally tell people that, particularly people that do not belong to what we call the new institutional school of thought, that institutions are not only about building structures. Institutions is about routinizing practices. When you routinize this kind of practices and you develop a pattern over time, that is what we call real institutionalization. Mr. Minister, I want to thank you very much for that. I equally want to encourage you, MDAs, to be very innovative in your engagement with the Ministry of Finance and make these hearings as one of the hallmarks of the way we want to match our budget aspirations with the National Development Plan. I will not leave without also highlighting one of the key budget requirements we have been clamoring for. Maybe I will not have the opportunity to see this galaxy of public servants maybe in a long time, but I also want to encourage you, including the Minister of Finance, not to lose sight of the need for data development capacity. It is very important. Today, as a government, you know my office is overseeing most of the international performance benchmarks, and we are struggling on a daily basis to get accurate data. So the capacity to develop data at sector level, at ministry level is critical. Please don't lose sight of that in the budget process. Because, make no mistake, effective, viable data development capacity is the starting point for development. I'm equally pleased that the Ministry of Finance gave an insight into how we want to introduce innovation and technology into the budget process. Already, the performance, the public expenditure tracking, including the budgetary process, other budgetary processes. These are areas where we want to introduce innovation and technology so that we can not only save money, but we can reduce the transaction cost. You see, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you that with time, we will gradually transit to investing in the productive sector. We know most times when we engage development partners, international institutions, researchers, they say our government is focused on investing a lot of resources in the social sector. That is the core of the National Development Plan. And that is the heartbeat of the New Direction Manifesto. But with time, we are going to transit to combine in both investment in the social sector and also in the productive sector. And we believe that with time, we are going to define the parameters of budget processes that will take those twin advantages together. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on that positive note, I want to thank you very much for participating in this, and I count on your support, MDAs, and I want to thank the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Development for this process, for putting in place a process that no doubt is the starting point for understanding how we match available resources to our national development plan. And also thank you very much for supporting the country's transformation process. On that note, I want to officially open the budget hearing process and launch it on the note that this is a serious business and we want you to take it seriously. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, well, that's now the voice of the Vice President, Dr. Mohammed Julde Jallo, will be the give the keynote address, and may they continuously they make government commitment, as he said the government they continue for ensure say in the year 2020 budget then put enough money one side for ensure say young people in the country get work, and also for ensure say they improve on the human capital development. And basically major up and the thing them where they talk about here till they get for do it work where they want for make opportunities and for young people and forget to work in different sectors then. And that's not been the Vice President's invoice as it be the continue for make government commitments to national development, especially so for waiting for happen in the year 2020, where it can for human capital development and job creation for young people. And also remind the ministry departments and agencies and say this is an opportunity we then get for lay out them budget plan them we go in line with the economic growth and development of the country, especially so with waiting the inside the national development plan where the government be don't pull na do. When I continue for listening to Radio Democracy as we continue for giving live update on waiting the happen at the Miatta Conference Center.
Which our colleagues do not appreciate us a lot for relate to processing of pet forms. Sometimes I even get confused, not only the minister. But as part of our reform process, we work with the DSTI, the Department for Science and Technology at State House. We presented to the honorable ministers at Cabinet, which the Vice President chair, reducing the processes, making it automated from around 28 steps to 6 steps. We are piloting it where the ministers will be fully informed and you will know why your amount or request is approved or not approved, whether it is due to inadequate of funds. There you will know that the resources are utilized or not. On this note, I would like to now observe that the Honorable Vice President, due to other engagement, would like to leave, but will continue. We'll see that other ministers will be presenting. This is the critical aspect. Last night I went through various websites, browsing through to understand better what is policy hearing. It's more aggressive in some countries than we imagine it to be. And some votes or resources can even be heard, like in the United States or even Uganda and even in Ghana. And of course, this is the exercise we are trying to bring, not to embarrass people, but I will kindly appeal that we allow the Honorable Vice President to leave, but before he leaves, we'll call on the Acting Director of Budget to give the vote of thanks, Mr. Tasibaja. But one takeaway from this, Acting Director, one takeaway from this process, he browsing through the website this morning. I went to the UK Treasury Department. Then I was attracted by the World Permanent Secretary, who is the head of the Treasury. And then among the few things they said that the head of the Treasury, the Permanent Secretary, is a civil servant, but many a time he supports the aspirations and try to lead more. So at any time there is a change of government to UK, 98% of the chances the permanent secretary is transferred or replaced. So on that note, the last takeaway is that there are 3 political slogans which, on the basis of that principle, I would say, and which is linked to 3 people in government presently. There is what you call Sababu, related to development, which was the popular thing that Dr. Alfauri brought during the previous day of the SLPP. And of course, we have the slogan called Power Pack, which is also linked to development at Sierra Leone. We go better. And of course, I will not leave, with due respect to you, Honorable Vice President, I will not leave the Minister of Finance. Now, everyone, when he sees bread and butter, even in the corners, etc., I believe in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that word is becoming part of our day-to-day speaking tone, if not in the dictionary of Sierra Leone, bread and butter. All related to the development. It depends on the perspective and how it describes this. On this note, Honorable Vice President, we will call on Mr. Tasibaja.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Vice President, sir, Cabinet Ministers present, Honorable Members of Parliament, heads of ministries, department, agencies, my civil service colleagues, I welcome you all. My task here is very short because all the speakers have done my task, including the Honorable Vice President, for thanking stakeholders who are making this process move forward. So I don't want to belabor that. I will start by thanking the presidency, that is His Excellency and his dynamic Vice President, who is present with us today, for giving us the political support. Over my 20 years of service, this is the first time a Vice President participating in policy budget process. So you, sir, I thank you. I know I've got the political support as technical head of the budget process. I also want to thank all cabinet ministers who have left their busy schedule. Some came late because they were on the radio of 98 promoting the agenda of their sectors. But so I want to thank all of them being present here. Others are out to promote the country, but their deputies are present. So networking, coalition, and collaboration will move us forward. I also want to thank our development partners, especially our IMF country representative, who is present here, and showing her commitment for this process to see that the economy moves forward in the new direction. She is not only a developmental economist, but a gender specialist who will promote me to bring gender budgeting in the reform of the gender process. Thank you, madam. Finally, I want to thank the Ministry of Finance, especially the leadership, political head, Honorable Joseph Jusuf Safa, JJ, for recognizing my proactive service to him and having gone through the rigorous, transparent process. I must tell you that as I stand here, I'm Director of National Budget Designate. And in few weeks' time, after receiving my appointment letter, I will become the first Director of National Budget. My predecessor, Director of Budget. I also want to recognize Our ambassadors who are here, bilateral institutions, EU ambassador is present with us. I want to thank him for coming. They are our partners in development. Today, I drive from here to Mashaka. I thank you all, the media institutions, the caterers, Ministry of Works. I started bombarding, but thank God the AC is correct. And nobody complained. I hope the service will continue. No complaint about water, no complaint about electricity. We need pure service delivery to move this country forward at all sectors. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Why the Vice President will now leave the podium after break. Thank you very much.
Well, we still there na the Miatta Conference Center. Then just done the official start of the 2020 financial year budgeteering process. The process they continue na the conference center, but key among waiting from the Vice President, the Minister of Finance, the Financial Secretary, and said other speakers them way give statements here this morning for do with young people employment, job creation, we key among other things them for the year 2020, and also human capital development. We will continue for going update anytime from now. We'll get for talk to the Minister of Youth Affairs, when Mohammed Oman Bangura. We go for can tell we waiting in ministry they put in place, because from the statements them way they don't deliver so far now the Miatta Conference Center get for do with young people employment, when a job creation, as I said just now. So because of that, we will go for can talk to the minister for know exactly how the ministry they plan for work with government and development partners them for achieve waiting get for them into policies for the year 2020, because key among them gets for do with young people job creation. According to the Minister of Finance, when Jacob Jusu Safar, and they hope say now the agricultural sector at least 30,000 jobs will be available in the year 2020, and na the area of labor, according to the minister, then they hope say 10,000 jobs will be available for especially young people na the country. For human capital development, where na other major thing under this government administration, the government don't continue for make commitments, say they will continue for strengthening the human capital development, because according to the Vice President, Dr. Mohammed Jul Dejalo, them believe say countries like China, Asia, and other one them where they develop by now, being for focus on human capital development. So it's say for them as a government, human capital development na Salon then take them as a priority for ensure say they're able for develop people for get a better economic growth by the year 2020, where this budget na in the propose for ensure say then strengthen the human capital development. We go continue for gonna updates on waiting they happen, as I say anytime from now. We go get for talk to the Minister of Youth, because from the statement they make now so today, paramount among them gets for do with job creation. We dey continue for going a live update on waiting to happen at the Miatta Conference Center this morning. Well, listeners and viewers, as we tell you now, we're still in at the Miatta Conference Center. Also, the official start of the 2020 financial year budget hearing process. They continue, and I tell you now earlier, say, we will go for talk to the Minister of Youth Affairs, where na Mohammed Oman Bangura, for no waiting in ministry they put in place now. Because from the major statements and where we are in Ayaso today, from the Vice President, from the Minister of Finance, and other speakers, them gets for do with job creation for young people in the country, and that particular aspect they fall under a ministry. For that, I want to welcome Mohammed Oman Bangura. Good morning and welcome to Radio Democracy.
Good morning, Radio Democracy, and good morning, people of Sierra Leone.
As I don't tell listeners and viewers them of Radio Democracy, major among the statements them where people make now this morning at the budget hearing process gets to do with job creation for young people. Unemployment rates we don't high in the country. And now one part of the reason that we make governments they try in the year 2020 the budget then allocate enough money for young people for letting go get work. Firstly, as the Minister of Youth Affairs, when I honor your ministry, this particular plan fall. What are your impression from the statements them we don't make this morning, especially so we get to do with the youth them?
Thank you very much again. When I sit down at the high table, I just receive a text from my sister Namabuka. We ask within a budget. And a friend again called me from Kenema, he asked within a budget. A budget now a plan of action in figures. What's the government plan for do 2020 for young people in this country? And as a government, we believe say we will continue to do the same thing and expect different results. 1 + 1 are 2 and 1 + 1 are 2, you go continue that way, we get different results. And as His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, we believe in empowering young people. He believes that when you empower young people, you stand a chance for transform a nation. And he himself don't head this country at a very early stage at the age of 31. You know how is it like when you empower young people? Now that make the current budget hearing and 2020 budget, then assign them to young people, human capital development through job creation. And young people realize say we get a population structure with FIBA and anti-aircraft population. You get a very small top, you get a big bottom. That is to say 70 to 75% of the population, they below 35. And as a responsible government, we believe say, if we continue to move in that direction, you don't make provision for that big bottom, when you get a U-turn, it will be very challenging for take care of the top. So we decide for transform that way for say young people well informed, young people well educated, young people get job. When you talk about job, now we not look at the 3 Ds. You get the 3 Ds when you talk about the great jobs. Initially, when you talk about job, people think Senafole become lawyer. People think Senafole become accountant. People think Senafole become engineer. People think Senafole become a sociologist. No. Go back to Germany, to Rwanda, go back to Ghana. You get the same way the world, the global world, they move into right now. You listen to the Vice President when they making speeches. They say you get many sectors. You get many sectors where they come. You get jobs that were supposed for day for young people. They know the day. Get expatriates them where they come from Ghana, Rwanda, you get the Australians, people from England where they can take them jobs and they're not simply because the young people not get that kind of skills where we required. Yeah? So now that make we really focus on this 2020 budget to job creation, human capital development. And you go agree with me, say there is no way we go transform Sierra Leone, move Sierra Leone to another level for compete with the global trend if we not get an informed population. and that make the government decide to allocate 21% of the budget to education. When you talk about education, it depends on the type of education you move again. Yeah, going to school, getting degree, getting a degree in engineering, being a lawyer, being an engineer, being an accountant. You get education we get for do with vocational training center. You hear about finance, they make presentation again, they make measures. Say you get a whole lot of tree planting, timber processing, and me and you, maybe you know how long we don't import furniture them in this country. Well, so we want to see how we go transform young people and productive and able to produce. Way we're not going to import shares again, debt again from government and private sector. You listen again, beside the president and the minister of finance, make emphasis how we feed we serve as a nation. And the beauty in that, as a government we believe in structures, as a government we believe human capital development, as the president defined them.
We go over right now to special thoughts.
As a ministry, as young people join the platform. That is to say,
we did a special court right now.
Each and every chiefdom will give chiefdom youth. If each and every chiefdom cultivates 50 or 100 acres of rice, trust me, you get 191 chiefdoms. By multiply 100 by 191 chiefdoms, you get the district chief from 16 districts. You multiply that now one day, trust me, by 2020, 2021, business for rice importation because this country.
So, Mr. Minister, how you plan for lobby and work with donor partners and self-governments for ensure the commitments way don't be made here already at the opening session of the 2020 budgeteering process, we are able to achieve them by the same way the year 2020 they come.
When you talk about lobby to donor partners now complement the effort of government. If the vice president don't tell us, so with the focus on young people, donor partners then the journey for divert, waiting them. Then complemented and they complement government to young people. Budget na a commitment to government. Budget na something where the government, na plans where government they put in place for make every other partner, every other Sierra Leonean focus on waiting and plan for the 2020. So every stakeholder, every partner, every donor, we can complement the government efforts. No say the Ministry of Youth Affairs, the young people for be a priority. But let me not forget. Gone are those days where we took at the back record, look at the past things where you get a whole lot of ideas you get a whole lot of projects then tell you say check amount of money we don't come on behalf of young people in this country and look at the impact. Do comparative analysis, look at cost benefit analysis for realize if waiting the money come for really make the impact. You remember His Excellency the President declared 3 wars again: war against corruption, war against poverty, and war against indiscipline. And he actually as young people to take the lead. So because of the trust. In 1 year, 3 months, 1 year, 4 months, I realize yes, the Ministry of Youth Affairs, through the sectors, don't build that kind of capacity, don't build that kind of structures, for take care of the population where we move forward. Say, for instance, the National Youth Service. The National Youth Service, this might be a clear call for my forefathers and forget national cohesion, forget young people for participate in patriotism, for participate, make them know exactly what they're supposed to do, waiting